And for anyone that's new today, if you want to introduce yourself, but first, it's June 12th, 2020. This is the CAPZ office hours. Yep. And so if we have any new members, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, feel free to do that now. Okay.
Oh, I can introduce myself.
Okay. Hi, Ernest.
I'm new. I guess I'm Ernest. I work at Microsoft. Currently focusing on improving testing on Cluster API Azure. Nice to meet you guys.
Cool. Thanks, Ernest. Anyone else? Alrighty. I will host today. Whoa, my name auto-corrected to a rock. That was weird. Does anyone want to note take? Maybe someone. Okay. David. One day we'll get someone new. I promise. Cool. Thank you. All right, so our normal structure, we're gonna go through our open discussion items. We don't have that many, so feel free to jump in maybe after these top three if you have any things that you remember. And then we'll go through our project board and see what's going on there and try and triage some new stuff. So we'll do that. Ernest, do you want to take it away with the testing provider Azure with a CAPZ demo?
Are we demoing today? Or wait for
so if you put
perhaps?
a line item, I usually just call you out and you can explain.
Sorry, I put that one.
Oh,
that was my bad. I put that a few days ago thinking, because I wanted to show mostly Stephen and Nader, but you can still show it if you want and maybe show it again next time, or we can just do it next time.
Wait.
Up to you.
Sure, I'll show it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, give me a sec. Just gonna open some links. Oh, I don't think I can share my screen. It says it's disabled.
The host has to allow.
Okay. Advanced sharing all participants. Okay, I think I changed it.
Cool. Let's see. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I've been working with Cecile and other folks on improving the testing strategy for CAPZ. So for the past month, I've been working on enhancing a couple of scripts in the CAPZ repo to allow flexibility when testing. So if you go to our docs, there's some instruction on how you can execute some of the tests. So more noticeably, the scripts CI entry point is where you can call the script and you can run upstream Kubernetes end-to-end tests, for example, conformance tests and any upstream tests that lives in the Kubernetes repo. So you can just call the script, set some environment variables, and you can just run it. It'll do everything for you. For example, it'll create a cluster for you. It'll build all the necessary binaries from the Kubernetes repo and delete the cluster if you want. And also, I made the scripts so that you can also skip the upstream end-to-end, skip running upstream end-to-end tests, and you can also run your own tests. So all you have to do is just set this environment variable, skip upstream end-to-end test, and you can use the script as like a entry point to your testing. It'll help you create a CAPZ cluster, and also you can provide your own commands to run any Kubernetes-related end-to-end tests. The this script also helps you set the kubeconfig to the correct cluster, to your workload cluster. So all you have to do is just go to your project directory and call whatever script you want to call. So the end-to-end test will run on top of the workload CAPZ clusters. And currently we are utilizing this script to run a bunch of tests to improve our test coverage. So currently we're currently running conformance tests with that script on both machine deployment cluster and also machine pool cluster. If you translate them to Azure, it's basically just virtual machine with availability set and virtual machine scale set. So here, test grid. Test grid is basically a dashboard where you can visualize all your test results. And as you can see, we have a bunch of conformance tests on VMAS clusters as well as VMSS cluster. Yeah, right here. And with that CI entry point script, I'm also running a bunch of Azure storage related end-to-end tests. For example, I'm running some end-to-end tests with Azure Disk and Azure File with on both VMAS and VMSS clusters. So if you want to try the scripts out, feel free. And if you have any questions, please ping me or anyone in the CAPZ community. Yeah, that's a pretty short demo, but yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out.
It's good stuff, Ernest. I'm going to write some tests today.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome.
Cool, thank you. I will share the agenda so it's a little bit easier for people. Okay. Hopefully that's right. All right. Cecile, do you want to go through the CAPZ testing plan?
Yeah, so it's actually very related to what Ernest was just talking about. So what Ernest was showing was mostly testing upstream with CAPZ. So using CAPZ as the provisioning tool to test cloud provider and Azure Disk, Azure File, etc. In parallel, we're also working to improve how we test CAPZ itself. Because right now it's very bare minimum. The end-to-end test suite doesn't do much. It just creates a cluster and deletes it and doesn't test anything in between. So Ernest, Nader, and I got together and drafted a little testing plan document, which is supposed to be what we hope testing should look like and where we want to be. So feel free to take a look. It's shared in the meeting notes. It's that link right there. And let us know if you have any comments or feedback. Right now, it's, as I said, it's mostly a draft. And we got together so after we wrote the draft, we put together some action items at the bottom of the next steps. So right now we're defining what each category of tests, actually, do you mind opening it, Ria? So we can just look at it. And then, yeah, so so there's a few categories of testing that we want to focus on. So unit tests, end-to-end tests, conformance tests, and periodic jobs. So right now we're focusing most of the work on end-to-end tests because that's where we think we're most behind. For unit tests, we want to have test coverage in PR gates so that enforces new code to be covered with unit tests. That's an easier one to get done. The end-to-end is where there's the most work needed, and most of the action items you'll see at the bottom are actually related to end-to-end tests. So if anyone wants to help out with that effort, feel free to reach out to me or Ernest or Nader or post in the Slack channel. We have action items at the bottom that don't have any assignees on them. We've also started opening issues on the repo based on those action items because the action items are mostly define what this work should be. And so once they're into GitHub issues, it's easier for someone to pick up because there's better definition of what needs to be done. So yeah, any questions on that?
Could you assign me to 706? Because I saw those this morning and I want to jump on that one.
For sure. Is that a GitHub issue?
Yeah, sorry. It's
Yeah,
accelerated networking E2E test. And since I did the feature, I want to write the test.
Awesome. Sounds great. You can just comment/assign, and that will assign you if you want.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You can assign
Just
yourself.
just out of curiosity, a question. What is the difference between conformance and compliant? Anything specific to conformance?
So in this context, when I say conformance, I mean the test suites are defined by other projects such as Kubernetes, like upstream projects. So Kubernetes has its own conformance test suite. It's when you run the Kubernetes end-to-end test with focus conformance. And that will check that any Kubernetes cluster has, is capable of doing certain things, and it will run functional tests on the Kubernetes cluster. So we build a CAPZ cluster, and then we run Kubernetes conformance on it to make sure that CAPZ clusters are conformance Kubernetes-wise. I think it's different from compliance because when you talk about compliance, you're often talking about laws that are, put in place to define, like for example, the Center of Internet Security, like the CIS rules. Those are compliance. So I think it's slightly different, but right now we're mostly focusing on conformance.
Thanks, that helps.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? All right, let's move on. I think I have the next thing. So I'm curious. So I had someone ask, and I'm also curious about this. So how do we enable customers and users to basically provision worker nodes faster? And so today, I'm not sure, is it just does it do it one after the other? But I think there was some knobs in CAPZ that we were able to turn. But I'm just wondering, do we have a full picture of what those look like in terms of making the rate of provisioning machines faster? Is kind of the goal here. If anyone wants to jump in. Cecile?
Yeah, I can start, and then I think David might have some stuff to say about it too. But so in terms of concurrency, there's two different things. There's concurrency between same types of machines. So machine deployments, for example, that's already being done concurrently. And there is a knob it's a flag in the manager where you can set the concurrency. I can send you the link. I forget the exact name of the flag, but it's in main.go. Yeah. And so you can set, how many worker machines can deploy at the same time. And those are by default, they're being deployed concurrently. And then there's the whole cluster, how do we parallelize and optimize cluster provisioning? Because right now you have to provision, one control plane at a time, and then the worker machines. And before you even start provisioning control planes, we also create the Azure cluster infra, which includes the VNet, the subnets, the network interface, or sorry, not network interface, the network security groups, route tables. And so for those, they're being done serially. And so that's where I'm hoping we can optimize and use that's not all of them are dependent on each other. Of course, some infrastructure is going to have dependencies where you can't provision the subnets before you provision the VNet, but there are others where you can, do this in parallel and increase or improve creation time. So I guess those are two different areas.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm specifically, I mean, they're both really important, but I'm specifically talking about the first scenario of adding worker nodes basically concurrently. David, you're shaking your head.
You are and you aren't.
Okay.
In the fact that you want the worker nodes spun up. But the first scenario, as Cecile had pointed out, was here I have one set of worker nodes that I'm firing up, and I have another set of worker nodes. This set of nodes can be being deployed in parallel with the other set of nodes. So the time, let's imagine you run through with the maximum number of parallel deployments at the same time. Your time span is the longest, is how long your deployment will last. So your longest deployment there, if they all start at the same time, the time to completion is just your one longest deployment. So it's really number two. Number two is how long that single deployment takes.
I see.
Right. So if we can trim down, if we can optimize the amount of time that it takes for a single deployment, then 10 wide or whatever
Yeah.
end up completing as
Okay. Yeah, because that's what basically the user is saying, that they tried to dial those knobs for concurrency, but they weren't seeing a difference. So that
Really?
that leads me to believe that what you're saying about the longest deployment time might be the case.
that might be a bug.
Okay.
The,
I'll go get more
for
details too, but it was sent me an email very late last night.
the defaults for concurrency are currently pretty high. There are 10 Azure clusters and 10 Azure machines and 10 Azure machine pools at the same time.
Okay.
So I doubt it would really make a difference unless they're provisioning more than 10 clusters at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. I think I have more context to ask the right questions going forward and get more details.
That
David?
might be something to add to the test plan. I wonder what limits we have on that. Like
Totally.
how far out can we go until we get throttled or something?
Yeah. I'd love to know the time it takes to concurrently create 10 or more or less. Yeah. Have that tested. Cool. All right, let's move on for now, unless there's if anyone has more outstanding questions on that topic right now. Okay. I'm sure we'll be back to that kind of topic anyway in the future. Why are worker nodes Azure Machine Pool deployed to the control plane subnet?
Yeah, is it a known issue or is it by design? Because I saw there is a control plane subnet and also nodes subnet, so it felt a bit weird.
That sounds weird.
Okay.
That is not an issue.
Just wanted to check because I was looking into infrastructure, what's deployed, what other resources are there, and I noted that worker nodes also ended up in the same subnet, in the control plane. So just wanted to check if they should be in a separate one, since I saw there is actually node subnet.
Yeah, I think that's a bug in the Azure Machine Pool. Actually, I think I know where exactly, because I think we take the first subnets. Yeah, David knows exactly what I'm talking about. That's a bug.
Okay, cool.
Would you mind opening an issue, please, Nicolas, so we don't drop it?
Yeah, I can.
Because
sure,
that's definitely something we need to fix. Thanks.
Yeah, I will. Welcome.
Awesome. Yay, bugs. So it's a good sign. Okay. Do we have any other outstanding questions for today? It's okay if we cut it short. A lot of people are out. So.
Okay, one more question maybe. Mm-hmm. Is it possible to deploy multiple machine pools? Is it something that supports to be supported?
Yes, theoretically, yes. We don't have testing in place with multiple machine pools, so I can't tell you that right now it works, but there's nothing that technically prevents it.
Yeah, it can be done by manually crafting the YAML file, right? There is no support in cluster.ctl, I think.
Right, so you could always change the config before you do cluster kettle config, or before you apply your YAML, or even after. That's what's cool about cluster API. You don't need to know what your cluster will look like at creation time. You can always create it with just one machine pool and then add one later. So you just need a template that defines what your machine pool will look like. So you'll need Azure machine pool, and kubeadm config. And then there's actually an example. I can send it to you in the repo, and then you just kubectl apply that, and that will add your machine pool to your cluster, even though your cluster is already created.
Okay, cool. And one follow-up question connecting the first two. Should the additional machine pools end up in the new subnet, or would they end up theoretically in the node subnet, which is not used at the moment?
Right. So right now they'll end up in the node subnet. At the moment, there's only 2 subnets being created, one for control plane nodes, one for worker nodes. There is an issue open in the repo to support multiple subnets for use cases where you want each pool in a different subnet. That's not supported yet.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? Okay. We'll go to our board and see what's up here. Wait, where are the new cards? Am I going crazy? Am I not signed in? That's why. Okay, hold up. Sorry, I'm gonna unshare my screen. Or oh, I locked myself out of my computer this morning, and so everything signed out. So I got a new password yesterday. And apparently none of my passwords work. So give me 5 seconds.
GitHub isn't making you do the Microsoft offload now?
I am, but I did that yesterday. I don't know why that's not happening today.
Oh, okay. It makes me do it every time. It's getting to be really annoying.
Oh. Okay, great. A lot of things to look at. EDU machines should have accelerated networking enabled if supported. Matt, is this something you plan on working on in the near future, like the next?
Sorry, I'm super blind. Which one?
EDU,
Accelerated networking. Yeah, the
user
E2E. I just
testing.
assigned that to myself. I want to do that today.
Okay, cool. Putting that in to do. EDU cluster should have healthy time synchronization opened by Nader. Assuming that's going to go in the backlog right now. Assigned. Okay, I'm going to place all these EDU tests in the backlog until they have people assigned. Unless you want to assign yourself. Cool. Run more CAPZ EDU specs in EDU. Work in progress. Cool. 3 control plane EDU test is flaky. Cecile, I'm assuming you're not planning on working on this right now.
Let's put that in to do because
Okay.
we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not working on it right now, but that's something we need to fix. Everything that's important soon should go into do, I think.
Okay. That, yeah, we have one more. Cool. Another. Add code coverage as part of PR size. I'm going to put this in here. Backlog. All right. Docs for managed cluster. Ooh, I get to review in progress. I'm gonna put that here. I'm working on it. When enabling root creation in cloud provider roots cannot be created, kind bug. Someone help me understand if this is something that we should be doing sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm working on that one.
Okay, great.
It requires a CNI that needs to have a the routes wired in via the cloud provider. So we don't have one of those right now, but I enabled one for the IPv6 support, and so I'll test it along with that and get it fixed.
Okay, great. Failure domain selection order possibly incorrect. Richard's on it, but the milestone is be next. So I'll put it in the backlog for now. Azure resource names do not follow conventions. Priority soon. Okay. Look into making LB outbound rules idle timeout in minutes configurable and increase the default. Ooh, a parity thing.
That's backlog.
Yeah. Add support for Azure dedicated hosts. I'm going to put that in the backlog. Add support for failure domains. Oops. Oops. Come on, you can do it. Okay. If any of those have a review in progress, it doesn't seem like it. This guy is. We'll do that in a second. Multiple subnets of role node. Failure domains for Azure machine pools. This back here. Move etcd to data disk. Should I put that in work in progress, Cecile?
Yeah, this one I'm waiting for the next CAPI release. It's basically done, but I can't merge it unless we have the new CAPI code.
Gotcha. Okay. HA cluster is non-AZ enabled regions. Putting that next. I don't know when we'll get to that. Machine pool takes 15 minutes to come online. Yeah, let's look into speeding some things up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna try and move some things over that I have a review in progress. I don't know. I don't know if any of them do. I guess it automatically goes over. Okay. Is there anything that's in our to-do that should either not be, ooh, these guys, should be in backlog, or something that you wanna, no, this is the one I get tricked by every time. Okay. Right. Cool. Okay.
I saw good first issue in there. Which one is that in to do?
Good first issue.
The purple, there's a purple tag at some point.
Yeah, right here.
Cluster. Okay. Yeah, I'll follow up with Anish on that. That's good.
All right. I'm gonna look through the backlog and make sure there's nothing that we should move over. Multi-tenancy with one manager instance has priority important. Cecile, move it over to do.
Sorry, which one?
The multi-tenancy with one manager instance.
Yeah, that's priority long-term, I think. So backlog. I don't think anyone's
It's orange.
working on this.
I see.
Yeah, they're the same color. Sorry.
Yeah, my eyes.
There's another, yeah, sorry. There's
Yeah,
another issue about reading the credentials from the secret. Is it maybe related with multi-tenancy?
Which one? The one that is the PR is open right now to have a secret instead of having plain text credentials in the file?
I didn't see PR, I just saw the issue. It was a little bit above the one you mentioned now. It's in the backlog.
Yeah, I think those are two different things. The multi-tenancy one is really being able to have separate credentials for multiple clusters. If you want to use the same management cluster to create workload clusters with different credentials. And the other one was, I think, being able to pass the credentials as a secret so that they're not plain text.
Okay.
If that's the one I'm thinking about.
And what would be the implementation if different clusters are using different credentials? Where would those be stored if not in the secret?
So there's a design doc linked to the issue. If you're interested, I think it explains. I'm not saying it wouldn't be using a secret. It's just that the other one I'm talking about was specifically for the kubeadm config spec, which had like an azure.json file in it, which contained secrets in plain text. So we wanted to get rid of that ASAP.
Okay, cool. I'll look into it. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, this looks, except for this guy, control plane NSG is open to the internet. Doesn't seem to have a linked PR.
That one does. I think it's been open for a while, and I asked if we should close it. And
okay,
it has. Yeah, it shouldn't be critical urgent. It's been. We're not treating it like it's critical urgent.
Yeah. So. All right. We can fix that after. Maybe take off that label. And either close it, so then it'll get off the board. Okay. Everything else looks okay to me. Is there anything that anyone wants to call out from the backlog that they want to move over?
So we have someone asking in the chat maybe for some good first issues. So maybe we can.
Yeah. Let's see. I can filter. Fun. So these are the ones that we have tagged right now that are on the board. Well, everything's on the board for good first issues. I think we can definitely probably add some more. But if you want to pick up any of these three in the backlog, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Also, James pointed out the development doc, which is a good place to get started for developing. And then I sent a link to the contributing doc, which is more in general, like the processes of opening PRs and running tests and everything. So I suggest reading those two to get started. And feel free to also look at the help wanted issues. Some of them might not be labeled as good first issue just because there's like a little bit more complexity and it might not be something that's an easy one-line change, but they're still like good, good places to get started. And every one of us here can always help if you get stuck. So
There's a
feel
lot
free
of
to
help on
comment on
ones.
an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also the Slack channel that you can join.
Cool. Is there
Yeah, I'd
anything?
say this.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I was just saying, yeah, the Slack channel is really good for asking for help. Sorry.
No problem. You guys are good. Okay. For some reason, I can't see the chat. So if there's any more items in the chat, let me know. Any more questions? Otherwise, we'll end it for Friday. All right, I'm going to call it. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining CAPZ AppStars. Feel free to ping us on the Kubernetes Slack and have a great weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Ria.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
No
Ria.
problem.
Thanks, Cecile.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Figure out how to exit.
Thanks, Nicola.
Oh, man.